Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here, and we are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for Sunday, July 10th slate of MLB action. We have a huge little 15-game slate on today, so I am super excited to dive into it. I did find 3 plays that I really do like. I think that they do have some pretty good value to them as well. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead and dive into it. But before we did, I did just want to go ahead and address just a couple things. Obviously, the first one, we are still currently on the road to 7,000 subscribers. So if you guys are new, make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Next, I did just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out here to all of our members here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do, and thank you guys so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance, as I always say. It truly does mean so much to me. So without any further ado, there is just one other announcement that I did want to make. I will be adding a new segment to my channel. Now, obviously, I've been doing sports betting for quite some time now, and I plan to continue with the sports betting, but I do want to add in a little bit of something else. And I will, and it's going to be a big project, so it will take a little bit of time, but I did just want to go ahead and throw the idea out there that I am going to be working on something in the background. It's going to be more so because I do enjoy just talking about sports in general, so I do want to change some things, or not necessarily change anything when it comes to sports betting, but just add in pieces here and there. And so I do have a big project coming soon that is going to allow me to not only talk about sports, but still bet on sports. So do have a new segment coming, so make sure you guys do, keep in touch with that. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and recap yesterday. We did not have a very good day. We ended up actually going 0-2 on the day. We had a really rough day, but that's why I think we're going to bounce back today, because we had a really bad luck yesterday. Our first play we had was the Mets team total under 4.5. The game goes into extra innings, and the Mets end up walking it off and scoring 5. And there's literally nothing we could do about that. It was 3-1 all the way up until like the 9th inning, and then the Marlins scored 2 runs to tie it, send it into extra innings, and then the Mets walked it off. Absolutely nothing you can do there. Then we had the Diamondbacks and the Rockies, no run first inning. Both teams scored, so that was just a bad call on my part. I thought it was a good bet, but I must have just been reading too much into it, so it is what it is. But let's go ahead and dive into today's plays. So our first play of the day, we're going back to that Marlins and Mets game. We're taking the under 3.5 in the first 5 innings at -120 odds. Now, if you take a look at it, the Mets aren't necessarily the best under team when it comes to at home. They are just 15, 22, and 2 to the under in the first 5 at home this year. But the Marlins, on the flip side of things, they are 22, 16, and 5 to the under on the road. So obviously one team is a lot more advantageous than the other, but I do think that is going to help us out for this bet, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. The Mets, they are also 8th in runs allowed. Miami is 16th. So both these defenses, they're not necessarily, the best, but the Mets are still a top 10 defense. Miami is 16th, so kind of in that middle tier. But I think that this is a really great pitching matchup. And I'll get to that in just a second, like I said. Miami is 18th in runs, so definitely not a very good run-scoring team, and they actually average even fewer than what they do over the course of the season on the road, so they're actually worse on the road. So I really love to target that as well, because I don't think Miami will be scoring a whole lot of runs here, especially not in the first 5. Because when you talk about aces, we have 2 aces on the mound here today, and I think that they are going to just continue this absolute hot streak. First of all, Sandy Alcantara is going to be on the mound here for Miami. Absolutely fantastic pitcher. Has a 1.82 ERA on the year, a 2.11 ERA on the road, and a 2.27 ERA in his last 5. So technically, he is a little bit worse on the road, and he has been trending in the wrong direction in his last 5 games. But still, even him trending bad as a 2.27 ERA, that's still a very, very solid ERA. And so hopefully Sandy can hold it down for us, and I definitely think that he can. He's a fantastic pitcher, and he's one of my favorite pitchers to watch. So I think Sandy will be just fine. On the flip side of the mound, Taijuan Walker is going to be on the mound for the Mets with a 2.86 ERA. Not necessarily quite as good as Sandy, but still, a 2.86 ERA is fantastic. He also has a 2.25 in his last 5, so he is starting to trend in that downward direction. But he has a 1.86 ERA at home this year. And so he has been absolutely fantastic, and I think that he is going to continue that. So that is going to be for our first play of the day. Marlins and Mets under 3.5 runs in the first 5 innings at minus 120 odds. I just think it's a fantastic pitching matchup. That's really what it is for the most part. Now, our second play of the day, we're taking a little bit of a risky one. I will go ahead and say this ahead of time. We are taking a little bit of a risky one, but we're taking the Royals and the Guardians. No run first inning at minus 110 odds. Now, if you take a look at it, Cleveland is 16th when it comes to first inning runs per game. Kansas City is 21st. So, not necessarily, I mean, both these teams are in that lower echelon. They're both in that bottom 15 range, just when it comes to runs in the first inning in general. Also, both these teams aren't necessarily the best offenses either. Cleveland is 16th in runs per game over the course of the entire game. Kansas City is 26th. Once again, not necessarily great when it comes to scoring runs in general. Both these defenses aren't good either, but I do think that this is a pretty good pitching matchup, so that's the reason I'm going to be kind of targeting it. Zach Plesac is going to be on the mound here for Cleveland. He has a 3.8 ERA and a 2.1 ERA in his last 5 games, so he is starting to trend in that right direction, and a 0.77 ERA through 11 innings pitched versus Kansas City. So he has been really, really solid here versus Kansas City, and hopefully he can continue that through just the first inning at least versus the Royals here. And it's going to be a battle of the Zacks, because on the flip side of things, Zach Greinke is going to be on the mound here for the Royals. He has not necessarily had a great year. He does have a 4.85 ERA, but at home this year, he's actually been really, really good. He's had a 2.14 ERA at home this year, and I definitely think he can continue that. He's also had a 1.59 ERA through 5 innings versus Cleveland. Now, I know that's not a huge sample size, just 5 innings, but I mean, he's still pitched really well in those 5 innings that he was given. So I really do like this play as well. It's a little bit more risky just because both defenses are really, really bad, but both offenses are really, really bad too. So I still like it. We're going to be taking it. Royals and Guardians, no run first inning at minus 110 odds. Now, for our third and final play of the day, we're taking the Yankees money line here versus the Red Sox at minus 135 odds. Now, this one is a little bit juiced, and I do apologize about it. If you wanted to take the run line for plus value, I don't hate the play. I'm just going to try to take the money line and hope it ends up working out for us, because New York is 27-15 on the road, which is the best on the road win percentage in the entire MLB. Boston at home is kind of in that middle tier. They are 22-20, so they're just barely above 500 at home this year. So that's the spot that I do like to target. Also, New York is first in runs per game. Boston is 6th. So not a huge advantage there, but New York is a little bit better of an offense, and New York is also first in runs allowed, and Boston is 13th. So Boston definitely gives up a lot more runs than New York does. So I think that that's another advantage here for us. Also, Jameson Taillon is going to be on the mound here for the Yankees. He has a 4-1 record in his last 5 games with a 3.63 ERA and a 3.49 ERA on the road. So definitely nothing too crazy, but I do think that it's going to be enough to hold the Boston Red Sox back. And I think that if he holds them back, I think that the Yankees offense can definitely get it done. On the flip side of the mound, Nick Pivetta is going to be there for Boston. He has a 3.68 ERA and a 3.48 ERA in his last 5, a 3.78 ERA at home, and a 6.35 versus New York through 5 innings. So definitely not great. But these pitchers are just very, very similar, so I'm just taking the better offense and the better defense in this situation, so I'm going to be riding with it. And not to mention, once it does end up getting to the bullpen, New York has second in bullpen ERA. Boston is 14th, so I think that that's another huge advantage once it does come down to the crunch time of the game. So I'm going to be riding with it. That's our third and final play of the day, Yankees money line versus Red Sox at minus 135 odds. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Like I said, we are on the road to 7,000 subscribers, so if you guys are new, make sure you guys are subbed. But that's going to do it for me. This is King Sarah signing out. Peace.